You are listening to Dave Sweetmore, and I am delighted now to say that I am joined by a founding member and lead singer of one of the most iconic bands of all time, the Christians, Garry Christian. Garry, how are you doing?
Hey Dave, I'm fine, man. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. You've got this gig coming up on Saturday, which we're going to talk about in a minute. First of all, let's go right back to the beginning. 1985, you lads were formed, and obviously growing up in Liverpool, it'd be easy to say like the Beatles and the Merseybeat sound and that kind of stuff was what was around you at the time. Is that what influenced you back then?
Well, around about that time, 85, the Beatles had been and gone, but the Beatles were always, and always will be, a part of the musical sound of Liverpool, I suppose, and all the Merseybeat groups. But, we moved on from there, Teardrop Explodes, Ian McNabb and his band, and loads of other bands come out of War, Heat, and a load of bands. But we weren't in that bunch really. We went on more of the kind of because synthesizers and stuff were coming out. There's all kinds of different synthesizers coming out in the 80s, and we chose to kind of mix that music, that kind of sound, with harmonies, like harmonies like the Temptations and things like that. So we'd introduced a new element to what was going on. So it sounded different. It sounded fresh and new. So that's how we started, and that's how we carried on, really. But the Beatles were always a big influence with me, anyway. Growing up in Liverpool.
Your first 5 singles were all top 40 hits. Your debut album was massive. I think everybody owns a copy of that amazing album. You quickly became one of the biggest bands in the country. What was life like for you back then?
It didn't change me, Dave. I just stayed the same, mate. You know what I mean? A working class lad from Liverpool. It didn't change in dramatic ways. It was just enjoyable. It was like, oh, well, this is good, isn't it? Because we weren't 18. We were well into our 20s. So it happened, and that was great. That was really great. When you hear it for the first time on the radio, "Forgotten Time" was our first single, and we happened to be all in the same motor, and it came on the radio, and it was like, wow, this is fantastic. And we didn't want it to end, it was just like, yeah, okay, this is the start of something, and we just lapped it up, really. It was great.
It was the start of something, and you're still here now. Apart from the odd periods here and there when you did your solo stuff, you've never really stopped touring. Why do you think all these years on, the music that you and the other bands of that time were making is still so popular now?
Well, I think, it's... People come to our gigs, they've kind of grown up with us, it's not like 35 years or whatever, since that first album. And people have grown up with the Christians because we're of the same age. So our audience is like, they bring their kids to see us, and it's an ongoing thing. And I think it's just a kind of case of a bit of nostalgia and introducing their kids to our music. And it's a double kind of experience for everyone, really. And I just get off on it because it's just a wonderful thing, really, to actually still have people buying tickets and coming to see our gigs, so they love it. And we introduce new songs, it's tricky because people want to hear that, they want to go back and listen to what they heard when they were courting or whatever, Ideal World or Forgotten Town. And, they get off on that, but they also listen to the new stuff and they go, oh, this is nice as well. So we haven't lost that kind of vibe,
Last time I worked with you lads was at Upper Mill Civic, and what you're saying there is bang on. It was so good to see the crowd, and it was so obvious that your music still means so much to that many people. You speak about new songs. It's 9 years since you released your last studio album, We. Is there chance of any new music for the Christians at any point?
Well, you know what? We're always kind of, when we get the time, from live, we always pop into my studio, myself and Joe, and create music. We've got a whole load of tunes there. What we need, maybe one of your listeners is out there with loads of money who wants to take us into the studio, because it's like you need a record company behind you for all the kind of things that you need to do to get an album out. I know people do albums in their bedroom these days, on a digital kind of machine. But we're different. I like to use real musicians and get away from all the digital kind of world. When I listen to any group of the 70s, and the sound, the analog sound I'm getting in my ears, is just so wonderful, and it's human. And today's music is a little bit too I don't know, linear and too much on the beat. It's all kind of like that, and there's no soul in it at all. So if there's someone out there, great, come and see us. But apart from that, I don't know.
I totally get that. Next year, it is 40 years since you formed, 1985. Will you celebrate that anniversary in any way?
We might have a glass of champagne, Dave. I don't know.
You deserve more than one.
I don't know. I don't think so. We just carry on. And we don't see. Me personally, I don't see time as a a block or anything. We just go on. We roll on, as it were, Dave. We just roll on, and it's nice to see that these groups, these old groups that I used to listen to, like the Rolling Stones and Paul McCartney, and the Boss, and all these people still out there doing it. I think it's wonderful.
I love
it's
that.
A wonderful thing.
I love that.
It's great.
This Saturday, you're not a million miles from us. You're playing at the Peak Cavern over in Castleton in Derbyshire, known as the Devil's Arse Cave. Have you ever been there before, Garry?
Yeah, we've played there. We've played there a couple of times, I think. The last time was fantastic, and there was a guy there, like a guy who goes around telling people, what it's all about and why it's here and stuff like that. And apparently, Queen Victoria visited the place, and because she was Queen Victoria, she wouldn't stand up in this boat thing. They had like a kind of river going through it or something back then, and she didn't want to bend her head either to get under this kind of tunnel thing, and so they had to excavate so that she wouldn't move a muscle. She just sailed through this thing, without any interference from rocks hanging down or whatever. And that's power, that, isn't it, Dave? That's
massive.
Power.
It is a great place. Do you know what? And it's a great place for a gig as well. Everything about it, beautiful location. For anyone who's planning on coming on Saturday, what could people expect from the show on Saturday, Garry?
Well, they can expect a lot of fun. They can expect a lot of nostalgia because, they've grown up with us, and it's just a wonderful gig, really, even if I do say so myself, David.
It will be amazing, mate. It will be amazing. The Christians played this Saturday at the Devil's Arse Cave, Peak Cavern over in Castleton. Any tickets that are left are available now via the band's website, christianslive.co.uk. Garry, it's a couple of years since we last spoke. It's been great catching up with you again. And good luck with the gig. Good luck with the future, man, yeah?
Cheers, Dave. All the best, man. I'll see you soon, Dave. If you're going there, I'll buy you a pint.